Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Nevin Kamath. I am the Executive Director of Resist Austin. Thank you so much for joining here today in person as well as online wherever you are. Resist Austin is a nonprofit based here in Austin, which myself, Mike Ignatowski, and Martha Carlton are all leaders of here today. We coach activists to lead lawful, nonviolent civil resistance to authoritarians. And we were an integral part of the local Tesla takedown campaign last year between around the months of February 2025 and August or July 2025. Yay. Appreciate that. Elon, you hear that? Just kidding. As far as today's training goes, our speaker is on the way here. We have a great speaker ready to deliver a lot of really quality, high value information. I've been in touch with her on texting, and she should be here in the next 5 minutes or so. So I thought maybe we could use a little bit of time to get to know each other just a little bit. To the extent that people are comfortable, you can always pass. Maybe just share within, if you could, 30 seconds or so, your name and what brought you here today. And maybe we'll just do this sequentially, starting with the nice woman on the far right over there.
Far right, everyone else is far left.
Yes.
That's not a political reference.
Name's Mary, last name Elizabeth. I've been involved with the Austin Justice Coalition since 2015. That'll do.
I'm Mike. I can't remember how I found out about this, but I've been to a few Know Your Rights trainings in New Orleans. I just moved here from New Orleans. As you probably know, they had the big immigration crackdown from November to January, so there was a lot of Know Your Rights trainings during that time.
Thank you.
Susan Littman. I went around with these Tesla people and Resist Austin people somewhat during the last year trying to defend democracy, but started out with my heart with the Extinction Rebellion, which was to try to keep alive to prevent extinction and climate change and advocate for a just transition.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Tolia with Indivisible 1431, which is up in the northwest corner of Travis County and I guess western Williamson County. So it's a big area along the FM 1431 corridor. And we organized right after the horrible election of 2024, known Nevin for a while. We participated in some of the Tesla takedowns. It was great. And, with everything going on now, things getting a bit more tense, and with the Prairie Land episode, I thought it would be good for us to review our KY knowledge base. So I appreciate you putting this on.
Cindy Skinner, Indivisible 1431. Mike is my husband, so most of what he said applies to me. But as I said earlier, we've done a lot of Know Your Rights training, but this felt like sort of the next level that was going to give us really rich information on kind of what to do and how to be prepared.
Wonderful. Thank you.
My name is Susie Marr. I'm with 1431. And I also did Tesla Turret takedown. And I've done demonstrations out from Cornyn's office and Cruz's office and just things like that. And I've been on a commission for a little while for medical reasons, but I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, she's back.
I'm Susan Perry, and I wanted to do several custom takedowns. I was very intimidated by the strangers that would show up and purposely try to egg on competition, try to ignite a fire. And I realized then that I needed to know some more before I did that. So I live in this area, and so I saw you were here, and I'm here too.
Thank you.
I'm Jim Ellinger, longtime Austin resident, involved in radical liberal feminist environmental anti-war demonstrations and such for the last 50 years. I put radio stations on the air. I also put one on the air in Kyle. I also put one over here in Austin called Co-op. I do a lot of recording of demonstrations. As much just to be a witness to history if something bad happens. I want my own footage of that I may or may not give to the cops, or may or may not give to the lawyer, just have a recording of it. I've been to more than 50 demonstrations this year, and I'm a big fan of them.
Thanks.
Well,
Jim.
pretty big fan.
Thanks, Jim. It's always good to have you here. Is,
I'm Brent Crawley. I've really only made it to No King's Marshes. I live up in Williamson County, and I should have made those Tesla meetings, but I didn't. This came in the email. I thought I'd come and see what's.
beautiful, thank you.
I'm Caroline Sunshine. I'm with Resist Austin, pretty active in the Tesla takedown. Very concerned about what's been going on recently. We have some good friends in Minneapolis. And I have family that survived Nazi occupied France. And actually I still have it's a gold star that my aunt refused to wear on her lapel. And no, it's becoming it's very concerned about what ICE is doing, and I want to know my rights.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good to see you.
See,
Chubbs?
I'm Charles Cashman. I'm with Extinction Rebellion, the student here. So we've been put on street theater, and that thing, but especially on the measure to the climate crisis. Been involved with some of Austin stuff, and some of the Tesla action and some nice actions around town.
No Kings.
Yeah, no Kings. So yeah, just want to be sure I understand my rights and what the lines are as best we can. Okay.
Thanks for coming, Charles. To the person who just joined us, would you like to introduce yourself and say why you came here today?
Yeah, Peggy, I've gone to, I think, 6 protests until I meet with Bone on Bone, and then I back to work.
Welcome back. So sorry, you're able to walk?
Yeah, I just walked in.
Oh.
But I'm about to have the other knee done too.
Thanks for sharing.
We got 2 people online too.
Yeah. We have. Hey. We're just doing introductions. We're about like 95% of the way through. So just give me like 2 minutes. For the folks online, Gerda, would you like to introduce yourself, please? What brings you here today?
My name's Gerda. I heard about this from XR, but I mostly work with Austin Sanctuary Network.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. And Lynn Levinson, would you like to share a little bit about yourself? Just what brought you here today? Okay, if we can come back to Lynn, if they're able to come off of mute. To the person who just walked in, would you like to share your name and what brought you here today?
Yeah, my name's Hope. I'm from Leander, and been volunteering with Leander Giver Cats, but also started a mutual aid with a bunch of friends, people in the area who don't really have presence up there, like mutual aid type thing. And yeah, just want to get more involved up there and help the community. We're about 20% Latino up there, and just want to know that we're there for them.
Thanks for coming today. All right, Martha and Mike, do you want to say something before we get started?
Hi.
Anything? What brings you here? What makes you do the work?
Yeah.
Okay, what makes you do the work? Me.
I'm Mike Ignatowski. I'm the president of Resist Austin. I got involved early because of the Tesla protest. And the story I tell people now is I had 4 uncles who risked their lives fighting fascism in World War II. And now it's my turn to take up the baton there.
Thanks, Mike. All right, so today's training is going to be on the topic of police encounters and criminal defense. Just want to bring your attention to a couple of QR codes that are on the screen. If you would like to donate to make trainings like this more accessible, please feel free to do so. And if you would like to share your feedback at any point in time, especially after the training is concluded, please feel free to do so. We'll allow for 2 or 3 minutes of just kind of quiet time to give you that opportunity. So it is now almost 6:15. I'm about to introduce our speaker, Amber Vasquez. So if you just give me 1 second. Folks, our speaker tonight Amber Vasquez has had years of misdemeanor, felony, and federal trial experience. After graduating from the University of Texas, she attended law school at the University of Denver College of Law, where she served as vice president of the student body, served as president of the DU Political Forum, and wrote several articles on international human rights, criminal law, and politics. Amber is a passionate and zealous advocate who always puts her clients' interests first. She has built her firm around the idea that every client deserves the best representation possible and is always willing to take cases to trial if necessary. Amber cares about how criminal justice affects our community and currently serves on the board of directors for Truth Be Told, a nonprofit organization that assists women in prison to get the counseling, education, and support to transition out of prison. In addition, she is actively involved in the Hispanic Bar Association of Austin, the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association, and the National Criminal Defense Lawyers Association. She is also well connected in the legal community and currently serves as chairperson for the criminal justice section of the Austin Bar Association, as well as serving as vice president of the American Bar Association's criminal justice section, Young Lawyers Division. In her spare time, Amber loves being with her kids, her 2 French bulldogs, gardening, cooking, traveling, yoga, and making floral arrangements.
This is all true.
Please join me in welcoming our guest, Amber Vasquez.
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of that was back when I was a joiner. I have 4 teenagers now, so that's all I do. That's why I was late. I had to get one from orientation, so I apologize. Dave McCallum was late letting out, so. And sorry, I have the outline here. That's one of my cheat sheet to make sure that I'm covering everything. But yeah, so I've done this for 24 years now in this town, and right now I am handling a federal free speech case. I think we're about to have a trial in Atlanta, and it involves all of the things that we're going to talk about. But I've also been handling with various organizations, from getting people out of jail here to also handling free speech cases, which are now being filed. So I'm here because I don't think that's why I'm here, but I'm here to say, I think that there is a new wave of approach that the police or that law enforcement are taking on protests. And it's a very anti-free speech approach, but they are filing things under terroristic threat. And so that's going to be kind of an undertone of what I want to make sure people are aware of how to do this, how to do it in a way that gets your point across that is safe and effective. And also, you know your rights going into it, because there is a different, I am seeing a different tenor now than we've seen in the past in protests the whole time I've done this. And I guess, you know what, before I even start into it, I'll kind of start with that story, because I think it will kind of frame what we need to look at and talk about. Because I think my client is an organizer of protests. He has no criminal record. He is just a resistor. My favorite thing is his bio and all of his social media. And this is all relevant to how we got here. But his bio literally in social media, and to listen to the FBI say this actually tickled me, because it was like, ginger bisexual autistic DILF that roasts MAGA 24/7. And so it's like, he's just trying to live his life. But he was leading protests and they use facial recognition, I believe, in Atlanta. And so they went to his social media sites, and that's what he is federally charged with, unmasking an ICE agent by posting their picture and saying, this person is a citizen in our community and should be held accountable. And then jokes and like says a Kendrick Lamar lyric saying, you know, if anybody sees him, give him those cell block C treatment, which apparently Drake already litigated with Kendrick Lamar, and that is not a threat, apparently. However, the FBI did not get that notice, and they charged my client federally and got him from the Travis County Jail, where he was charged first with, in the last protest, whenever the senator was in the Capitol, and she was holding her ground and all that. He posted on his private Instagram, people need to get their guns and go protect Senator, you know, who was in there. We need to protect her. And he was charged in Travis County with felony terroristic threat. And as he was being held on that is when he was charged federally with terroristic threat. Even though the ICE agent was here that he had unmasked, we believe it's filed in Atlanta because I think that's where the ICE agent is from originally. I also think that may have been where they were using facial recognition software to go look at my client's Instagram. So that is where we are at, and that remains to be litigated as far as a trial goes. And so that should be happening in the next few months. So we will see. I don't know. You know, we just had the Prairie Land trial that did not go well. And so obviously I am hoping mine goes radically differently than that one. But you know, that's kind of the context in when we're going into this, because we are dealing with something very different now. And I think that's why y'all are here. This is probably what people had to talk about in World War II going into it and figuring out how to be safe, you know, to also make their point. So talking about police encounters and starting it out, you know, there's obviously, and I'm trying to kind of generally follow the guidelines, you know, obviously there's a right to remain silent. And I will say this is that is one of the most important things you can do. If you are approached by law enforcement and ask questions, you know, you are obligated to, if they ask for your identity, to identify yourself. So you are obligated. I think there's a fight under the law, but I'm just saying I don't think that's the fight to have. I don't know that that's, I don't think that anybody's going to arrest you or not arrest you for that, but I think that, I don't know. I think that right now they really feel like you need to identify yourself. So, but if you really don't want to, then I would just say, look, I need a lawyer before I'm asking questions. And that's before I'm answering questions. And that's really the thing that you lean on. And you need a lawyer before you answer any questions, or that, you know, you want representation and that you don't want to be questioned by law enforcement, obviously. I'm saying this because I see a lot of people who are arrested or detained at protest, and then, you know, the police are trying to question and do all this stuff, and it's rarely in your interest. And so, you know, and I think it just gives less fodder for anybody to come at you as well. And determining whether you're detained or free to go, that should be very clear by asking literally those words. Am I being detained or am I free to go? I mean, that's a legit question to ask if somebody says, hey, stand over here. Because that's kind of the context that I've seen it in a lot of protests, where they're kind of like, you go over here, you go over here, and you don't go over there, they're mad. And so I would, you know, again, if anyone's saying you can't leave, you know, at that point, I would absolutely clarify if you're being detained, because if you're being detained, certain rights do click it, right? You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to, you have all kinds of rights if you are being detained. So I would absolutely determine that by just asking very plainly. I think that's the easiest way. As far as consenting to search, I'm not a fan. The Constitution requires a search warrant to search your house, your car, anything. It's pretty clear in there. And the only caveat to that is if there is an active crime that somebody is seeing, and even then they would have to articulate it and fight for that. Otherwise, any search is presumed not legal unless they can prove otherwise. And so if they just start searching you and you don't consent, then that, unless they can prove they have some legal right to do that, then, and I will say in Travis County, we usually win on this. So don't let, there's no reason to let anyone search you. And they're not gonna go get a search warrant. I mean, they really have to think you were, you know, somebody really important to go get a search warrant, but I don't see that too often. I mean, I think they just try to bully people into letting them search your stuff. So, and it's kind of not about whether you have anything to hide or not, honestly. It's just sort of the principle of, you know, fascism and standing up to unwarranted searches. But again, it's your, you know.
Does that include your backpack?
It does. It does. Absolutely. And, you know, and that's why the detain thing matters, because if they are detaining you, they can do a pat down for weapons. Right. And that could include, like, if you have, like, say, a cross bag on you, they can pat down to see if there's a knife or a gun or something in there that could hurt them. So if you're being detained, they could pat you down. So that's why whether you're being detained or not matters, because otherwise, if you're not being detained, you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to, nobody gets to touch you in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah.
So if you're not being detained,
Yeah.
they don't have the right to like frisk you.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they have to actually have a reason to frisk you. They can't just choose you because you're protesting, because of your race, because of something like that. So therefore, there has to be a reason. So they can't just grab random people and search them.
Are officers, will do Terry stop? I mean,
But that's what I'm talking about. So you do not have to, right, you do not have to consent to any of that unless you are being detained and for some reason put in their car or somewhere that they need to detain you, that they would need to pat you down.
I just finished Crim Pro.
Yeah, talk to me.
So they have reasonable suspicion. Maybe they think you have a weapon on you. They reasonably would be that, then they can legally do a.
They can't.
Pat down.
I'm just saying from doing this,
You're not arrested. I'm
Right.
sorry,
No, no, it's true. No, all that's true. And I mean, in practice, like, because there's the rules. This is what I know from being on the streets. There's the rules, and then there's how it actually pans out in real life, you know, and that's kind of what I guess my approach at this point is more, it may not be consistent with what is in Crim Pro, because it is definitely what's on the streets. And so what I am seeing is when they are detaining you, they definitely are seeing that as a reason to pat you down, but that is not a reason to search, go in your pockets or anything else, because she's right. They have to articulate to do what's called a Terry stop, where they pat you down. They can't just grab you randomly. There has to be reason to do that. And that's the same thing with being detained. They need to articulate some reason that you are the person they think did something. They can't just because you're there. Because you're there is not enough. And I think that's the real distinction to what you're saying. Don't be lured into thinking you're detained because you're there, or that they have some right to pat you down just because you're there. Yeah.
If I may, someone online is asking if you could summarize the questions that come from the
Oh, yeah.
audience, because they can't hear the audience.
Absolutely.
In the future, that's.
Well,
all.
and absolutely, and she said it better than I could. So what did you say again? Because I want to particular.
Police were invoking Terry,
Yes.
which is the case that gave birth to Stop and Frisk.
Yes.
They are invoking.
Yes.
that right now?
Yes.
Okay, now if you can repeat that for the.
So they're invoking, and what she asked was a very good legal question. It was, are the police invoking Terry, which is the case that allows a pat down outside of being arrested, like it, and kind of in summary. And it has been frowned on in the past, but it is now being leaned into. I have seen much more in the last 6 months. That's what I can say. Things that I have not seen before are now being embraced by law enforcement, like patting people down, looking for reasons to arrest people in a way that is much more aggressive than in the past, which that is why I'm here, because I agree with you. I think it is being invoked a bit too much. Let's talk about recording the police.
Oh, yeah. One more question. When you're referring to the police in this case and the increase in looking for reasons to arrest, it's not just ICE that you're talking about.
Mm-mm.
It's not.
APD.
The regular Austin policemen that growing up, oh, good police for him, you know, these people that you've depended on
Yes.
for help. You're not.
You could repeat that.
So she is specifying, we are not talking about ICE or federal agents only. We are talking about local police, and local police are also joining in with the more aggressive policing that I'm seeing from the feds. They are absolutely embracing it.
Are you able to deny them taking your picture? Because this was really on the first No Kings.
Yeah.
As soon as I crossed the border, I was picking up my son from Nassau Camp. Came into Texas, got pulled over, and he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and take your picture. And I didn't even have time to say no, and I could tell there was something on his phone.
Yeah, it's facial recognition. Yeah.
I'm on the list now.
Yeah, so she's asking about if they're allowed to take your picture. So that's interesting because I would say no, but again, what do you do when I say a federal agent runs up and takes your picture? I mean, that's.
This was a cop, this was CHP or
Yeah.
Texas Highway Patrol.
Well, I fear that with our new, we have a new law enforcement headquarters here in Austin where they all come together, all the different policey people all come together and plot and have lots of surveillance. I forget what it's called. It has some ominous acronym, but yes, they are all in cahoots now. So, and they've gotten a lot of fancy toys from facial recognition. I think they got some new choppers. So expect to see lots of action because they've got new stuff.
Hi, I'm still confused about the search. Now, I thought I understood it, but now with this Terry rule, and I'm trying to speak loud, so maybe I can be heard. So you don't have to repeat it. But with this Terry rule, are you still free to tell people, I object to the search?
Yes.
I wish to be searched?
Yes, absolutely,
Then what
and you
happens?
should. Well, I mean, they can still arrest you, they could still, if they found something that they wanted to arrest you to, you could fight it on the backside. I would be the one or whoever in the criminal justice system would be the one. Because what we do in that situation is we usually file a motion to suppress, saying you have violated the Constitution and therefore the fruit of the poisonous tree cannot come into this case, and we kick it out. And we've got tons of those right now, in town of just real ham hock searches of people. I had a client, I talk about the different policing on different sides of Austin a lot because I represent people on different sides of this town. And, I had a client arrested on the east side for wearing shorts in December because he was walking to his friend's house and it seemed suspicious. But, I've had clients who are part of a fight club that got broken up in Westlake, and I think they arrested like 2 people. So it's very disparate in how things are treated. And so that is a fact of this town as far as how it's policed.
And all this that you're referring to includes your phone. They cannot take your phone either.
Correct.
From you. Okay.
Unless you're arrested. If they
Unless you're
arrest you, and then they have to get a search warrant if they want to search the contents of your phone. Now, that said, I've had plenty of searches suppressed because they just searched them anyway. And then they went and did stuff. So again, these are things that you fight on the back end, but there's not a way to functionally stop it if it's happening. But you do not have to consent to a search of any sort. And I think you have to be very clear that you are not consenting to the search. And I talk about the Terry stop because I've seen that a lot at protests lately where they kind of group people together and start patting people down and basically looking for trouble, I feel like. And so that's what I just wanted people to kind of be aware of that, because I also have had clients who carried like a knife to the protest because they were legit scared of something happening. And so, just being aware of, a safe way to do it. I mean, I would say an ACE, but that would be a safe thing to have. Let's talk about recording the police.
Can I ask a question about the mask thing? So like if I'm attending certain things, I'll like just wear like a COVID mask, right? Can you be compelled legally to take it?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, unless you were under arrest and they needed to like identify you for some reason, but no, other than that, I mean, that's why the little puffy suits in Portland were so genius. I mean, seriously, that was No, but that was genius because like you couldn't see who it was. And so that was perfect. I mean, that's kind of a model, honestly, because you saw the police were really screwed because they couldn't facially ID people. They couldn't figure out who was who. And everyone was in the same puffy. That was my favorite. There was only like a few different versions. And I was like, oh, chef's kiss. That's perfect. Well, because they couldn't arrest anyone. So, I mean, this is kind of what I'm also talking about is how we can express ourselves as a community in a safe way that gets our point across. And I think that in looking around the country, and this is kind of, well, isn't what I'm about to talk about, but the things that are specifically excluded in safe in the First Amendment is satire, sarcasm, hyperbole, and, political satire. Those are things that are articulated by the Supreme Court that are absolutely protected. And you look back in history, and as long as things fit into these categories, it is unilaterally protected. It is, and so honestly, and I know that this sounds crazy, but I've thought so much about this, but being funny and being outrageous is actually the better move to make sure that you are not threatening, that they are not taking this as a legitimate threat, because that's the concern right now. And so, I was looking back in preparation for this because there's, cases on First Amendment. And I mean, back to the 1800s, the cases where they make like a donkey face out of somebody and blah, 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 all protected. Right? Because it's outrageous. It's political satire. It's things that are clearly protected by the speech. But what I've seen charged with First Amendment terroristic threat are things like, burn down the White House, or specifically, I think it was like burn down the ballroom, which I was like, I mean, is that really a threat? But I mean, things like that, because the federal public defenders made a chart of every terroristic threat case right now in federal court that the Trump administration has filed and gave me the grid of it. So I was able to see all of the stuff that has happened. And it is a wide variety, I will say, of threats. And a lot of it is stuff that is shocking to me that I do not think is a threat. I think it is literal just protest of saying, I'm trying to think of burn down the ballroom is one that I was like
8647.
Yep, 8647. That's one that keeps on popping up. But I mean, they are looking for people to make examples of. So
Cuba
Yep.
Communism Manifesto.
Yep.
They just released
That's right.
the kids walking out.
Yes.
The ICE protests in there.
She just said, what were you saying again?
I call it the Cuba Communism Manifesto that they just released.
Yeah.
And if you read in there who they have as, terrorists.
Yeah.
Presbyterian preachers.
That's right.
The ICE
That's right.
walk out.
There's a Cuban manifesto. She's saying the people that they're including as terrorists is everyone. And right now, the free speech case out of Austin, out of Leander, is an 18-year-old boy. This is the Berger case. It is active right now. And it says there's an 18-year-old boy who goes to my stepson's high school, and he was on Roblox, which all four of my boys play. And he was in a fake church environment, which you have an avatar when you're in this. I only know this because I see my kids play this. And you have an avatar and pretend to be extreme. It's a church. That's the point of it. You're supposed to be extreme, your character. And so he's playing this character in this, and 3 people call in a threat and says he's going to bomb a church. Well, the character was going to do that. That's literally the point of this little thing this game thing. So the FBI has arrested him, charges him with terroristic threat. He is arrested. The district judge here dismisses it and says it's not a serious threat because it's in a game with a character that is supposed to be relieved. The Fifth Circuit reverses it, and he's back in jail as we speak right now. And they reversed the dismissal and said it is a true threat. It needs a trial. So it will be going to trial, this 18-year-old boy, the Berger case here, to see what true threat is in our district. So that will be happening very soon.
So a fake person is going to blow up a fake church.
Correct.
And that's a threat.
Correct. I told my boys this, and they were just completely confused because they were like, it's fake. Everybody knows it's fake. And I was like, well, these adults in FBI did not believe it was fake. And now this man has a federal case, and it is active in Austin right now. Yeah, so I mean, it is scary for everyone, but you know, it's kind of in that light that I'm thinking about how we use our voice, right? Because it does need to be clear political satire, hyperbole, like things that are clear that this is a statement, you know, and that is kind of what I think how we need to start thinking about using our words in a smart way that gets around this terroristic threat idea, apparently. And do not quote Kendrick Lamar. Absolutely. I mean, love him, but not in this context. Let's talk about recording the police, because I have 2 cases right now of folks who were recording the police. So, yes, you can absolutely record the police. And I encourage you to when you see a police interaction 100%, because you know, 9 times out of 10, if something terrible goes on, they'll turn off their body cameras. And so an observer is usually the only way that we see what happens. Now, they don't like it. And so, you know, like in my cases, you know, I had a person who was filming and they came over and said, we don't want you filming. And she said, well, I want to film. And they wanted her out of this area because they were doing whatever in this area. So what she should have done, and what I think in the past, is say, where can I stand to film? That's it. Where would you like me to stand to film? Ask them, let them choose the spot, because that is their big fight right now. And I'm seeing with the filming is like, oh, well, you can't be here, you know, and then when the person's like, I have a right to film, and then like the scuffle ensues, and then they get them for resisting because they're like, they wouldn't give me their camera and blah, blah, blah. So, and I mean, I've seen the footage of this because I've had clients that were like filming as it was going down. So I think the right move at this point is, yes, you need to film. Absolutely. But I think that at a safe distance, I think and if somebody says you can't, say, where can I film? Because you can, and they know you can. But that's the way to, I think, beat it, is just put the impetus on them of where do I need to be?
Well, if I could add.
Yeah, please.
I feel hundreds of altercations with police in Boston and elsewhere.
Thank you.
They are generally more well-trained than many other officers, other agencies. I frequently would say, can I speak to your PIO, your public information officer, whose job is to speak to demonstrators, usually before an event. There's the old radical thing, don't obey in advance.
Right.
I just came from Jose Garza's office, where there was a small but loud demonstration right outside the doors. An employee came out and asked them to move over to the sidewalk. Well, the entire area is all the same brick. It's been nicely redone. And in fact, probably the area going into the DA's office is probably considered public.
Agree.
And most of the crowd just ignored them. The question is how close and how volatile it is. I've had cases as an amateur go to the trial up in Williamson County, where I was the only one who had footage of a Confederate beating up a guy touching the statue. It generally, I have to say, with this mainly nice white older crowd, you can get away with a lot more than if you're a young Hispanic activist with no shirt on.
Great. Be an ally. I agree.
The
Yes.
other one is, the other thing, I don't want to jump on your.
No. Love it.
Is they have body cams, you have body cams, everybody has body cams.
That's right.
And the reason I'm there, much of it is not because I'm a seasoned paid reporter for NBC News. It's if something happens, something bad happens, I have my recording, which I can give to them or not give to them, give to the police, give to the community or the lawyers. It's my footage.
That's right.
And having one more set of eyes. Oftentimes, police officers sort of acknowledge that could be a good thing if there's a pew. Sorry to interrupt.
It's wonderful. And I mean, honestly, if somebody doesn't feel comfortable doing everything you said, go to him, because that's exactly what you should do. No, but that's exactly what you should do. And I mean, that's what's keeping people safe, is being brave, staying at the right, you know, like you said, staying at the right distance, but making sure that you have your cameras on. 100%. I always say record everything, because we are Texas is a one-party recording state, y'all. So you can record anybody you want at any time. It is totally legal. Totally legal. So anytime you have an interaction with law enforcement, record it 100%, or just all of it. Record it. Err on the safe side.
I have one more footnote.
Yeah.
They ask you to back up a couple.
That's what I was saying. Just say, where would you like me? Just get right there, or back up, or do whatever you need to do, but keep filming. Like, that's what I tell people. Don't fight where you need to be. Just keep filming. Right, because otherwise it's like they're looking for a reason to take your camera to figure it out. So if you just are like, all right, no, but thank you for doing that, because that is what is keeping us safe.
Sounds like sometimes you need someone recording the person that's recording.
Yeah.
We are aligned with the loss of privacy in this day and age, and everybody should be reporting everything all the time. Thank you.
Yes, agreed. Yes, 100%. They should be recording everything all the time. And ICE are particularly not understanding the rules on that. So, I mean, expect more craziness from them, and I would say stay at a safe distance because, I mean, like, again, we could fight this as long as everybody stays alive, but I think, you know, we know that they are operating by a different set of rules than the rest of the United States people, so be safe. Be safe. I mean, because we want you to have your footage and we want people to be able to speak up. But I would say keep a safe distance from ICE, for sure. But record them, please. We need them. We got, yeah, this is about permits and.
I just, a few more pieces
Yeah,
of advice I've heard is, it's good to have a couple people recording from different perspectives.
Right.
Because one person may not catch it, and it's also good to narrate what's happening.
yeah,
Yes.
agreed,
You've got record sound, so talk about what you
Agreed.
see happening.
agreed,
Or if
agreed.
you're taking 2 steps back, point the camera down and say, I'm taking 2
Yes.
steps back. Yeah.
Well, and we use a lot of that too, because, you know, when AP do arrest people, they usually give you, you'll usually get a resisting case, because that's kind of the go-to of like, well, I tried to arrest him and they were resisting, even just standing still. They'll be like, that was resisting. So that's kind of the catch-all. Terroristic threat is what they'll charge if you say anything mean. Cause they'll be like, I felt threatened, and so I see that. And, you know, if they really get mad, it could be assault on an officer if they're like, that hurt my hand when I pushed him. So, I mean, I've seen that twice, the hurt hand when they're like hurting people. So, oh yeah, no, there's one officer at, forget the last protest who hurt something. Yeah, anyway, but that's what they charge people with when they hurt themselves, is assault on an officer. So, but resisting is usually the go-to for that. But you know, kind of in all of this and what we're talking about is, as weird as this is, again, I really think that protests of the future now going forward are going to need to be performative in a sense. I mean, they're going to need to, you know, I'm involved in criminal justice reform, and that's kind of my baby and my passion. And like, I'm super against, you know, we have a slavery loophole in Texas where we enslave people in TDCJ, and then we give the money to private companies. And I think it's disgusting and gross because I'm anti-slavery, like a normal person. And so, you know, I've always thought, because, you know, there's all these protests and nobody cares. And I'm like, again, it needs to be performative. At some point, I'm like, because somebody needs to get on horseback, dress up like guards, drag people down the middle of Congress in chains, dress like prisoners, and with holding a cross up front, being like, be more like Jesus, stop this, this is gross. But you'd only need 50 people and you can make a big impact. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a movie called what is it, The Beauty and the Bloodshed, about Nan Golden in New York, and it is a total inspiration. She organized a protest against the Sackler family at the Met, and it was the most effective. I mean, they got rid of the Sackler family at the Met. It like gives me chills, but it was the most wildly impactful. They dropped millions of receipts representing every prescription for OxyContin in the country. And they dropped them from the top of the Met all at once, and it just rained these prescriptions. And then all these people that acted like they had died from OxyContin laid all over the place. And they had a huge death, and they had this big death drum that they beat with this huge funeral procession. And all of this stuff went through downtown New York and through the Met, and the Met was horrified. I mean, we're talking probably 200 people. This was not thousands. But they couldn't stop them because it was art. It was performative. It was a show. But they got the Sackler name out of the Met with this one protest. And that's what I'm saying. I think we need to be creative. We need to be loud. We need to be performative. And it needs to be clear that this is political protest, and to be specific that nobody is threatening. Nobody's out to kill. Everyone just wants the fascists gone and wants change. And that's what everybody is moving towards. And so, as weird as it is, the funnier your things are, the more performative, the more protected you will be.
Right.
And so I just really want to get that word out to groups, because I don't think it sort of came about in meeting with other other First Amendment attorneys around the country because we were talking about how to talk to protest groups because everyone after the Prairie Land verdict, which I don't know if everyone was paying attention, but some protesters got 100-year sentences, hundreds of years in sentences for protesting. And there was one person that I think a shot was fired, but it is still unclear who did, but people that had nothing to do with shooting anybody are now facing life in federal prison. So for joining a protest, it is the most extreme verdict, and it's in Texas. But it is wildly extreme and should put everybody on notice of edge. And a lot of it is how the words were interpreted. I mean, that is a huge factor, is how these specific words are interpreted. And so that is why I think getting the right words and how you can get your point across in the most dramatic yet clearly political, satirical, hyperbole fashion, the more effective and safe you can be from any pushback from law enforcement. Yeah.
I realize that this is a Resist Austin meeting and it's totally, they totally stay within the bounds. But I want to ask some questions because, some of our greatest leaps forward have been when people employed civil disobedience.
Yeah.
And I wonder what you think about that these days.
I love it. I love it when it is clear. I'm sorry. She was asking about civil disobedience and it being effective in the past and what about it now? And I think it can be done in the envelope of the political protest, the satire, the performance. I think that is the new movement to get the point across, because I think it has to be couched very squarely in the safety of the First Amendment. And that has been repeatedly said by the Supreme Court that the absolute things that are safe are, like I said, hyperbole, political satire, things like that, things that we know are not a direct threat, because they are looking now for reasons to quiet people. And they're doing it. I mean, that's the thing. And so I think that you're right. I think that it can be civil disobedience, but I think it needs to be also performative in a way. I mean, honestly, to be able to show that this is not a terroristic resistance, but a political showing, that this is a political voice.
Does a puppy suit protect you?
Yeah. I think a puffy suit protects you because it definitely shows you were not there to kill. That you were that was the thing in Portland. And it was absolutely brilliant because they couldn't identify them. And you don't have a weapon because you're in the puffy thing. Nobody can, you see your hands. And so there's no, what are you going to do? And that was brilliant. I would love to see more stuff like that here where people really think outside the box of how to get their point across. Because I think that, the police are looking for reasons to quiet voices right now.
Can you talk about civil disobedience on federal property versus, I think it's critical infrastructure?
Yes.
Versus everywhere else?
Yes. Don't do it. They are where you are at is very important. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think the civil disobedience and figuring out where you need to be is kind of the game, honestly, right now, of figuring out where it's not a gotcha thing, because I absolutely think avoiding anything that could be interpreted as federal anything is the way to go right now, because the way that the feds are interpreting things is clearly the most extreme you could imagine. I practice in federal court all the time, and it is a different world today than it was the rest of my whole career. It is a different world. It is extreme.
And the critical infrastructure thing?
Oh, well, you mean as far as how it affects
so
in what context?
like a gas pipeline or
oh yeah, of how they're using that to now say you're affecting critical infrastructure, and just being there itself is the reason that they got you. I guess that's what I'm saying is I think the only way to do a critical infrastructure protest would be a performance, something performative, honestly, because I think that would be the only workaround to saying, look, this is absolutely political and not a terroristic act threatening crucial infrastructure. Because that's what you're right. That's what they're leaning on and that's how they're getting people in the terrorist bubble is trying to say that you're affecting critical needs of the country.
I know this is
Yeah.
very topic for a lot of people, but what about blocking a block camera?
Ooh, I like that.
Standing and just
Block. She's saying, what about blocking a flock camera? You know, honestly, I can't think of any law off the top of my head that prevents, what do you think, of blocking a camera? I don't think so.
But I'm not an attorney yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm just interested.
I don't know if you addressed her question earlier.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did, but
Yeah,
I.
no.
About, whether they can take your picture. I mean, that's just really scary to me.
It is to me too. Yes, it's legal. So yes, it is legal for them to take your picture. Now, they can't, if you're wearing a mask and that's kind of the puffy suit genius, they can't make you take it off.
You pulled you over
Okay.
and took your picture.
I was probably speeding a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had no canes written all over.
Oh, yeah, they took your picture for that reason.
That's
Yeah.
why, I'm pretty sure.
No, they're
that's why
using
this
facial
is like
recognition.
somebody was- I'm like, Bronco, he's like, okay, now I'm gonna take.
Oh, yeah. No, they were just using facial recognition because now they're gonna look at your Instagram or your like social media. Cause that's been my experience is that the feds are then looking at people's social media to see who's an instigator and if they could catch you saying anything, like my client saying the cell block C
I
thing.
told my son, I know I'm gonna get put over. I just know I am.
So you
Because I have it all over and I said, if I
Yeah.
do, film.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it just happened so fast.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be.
You weren't arrested.
No.
Just take your.
Yes, there is no law in the books right now with facial recognition. Agreed.
First, no king.
Yes.
This is the beginning
Yes.
of all of this.
It's a whole thing right now because there's no law in the books against using facial recognition for the cops. And so I have been seeing them use it willy-nilly. They don't admit it. They don't admit it, but they do.
The police have been routinely
Yes.
photographing
Yes.
March of Dimes, the world's, the circuses,
Yep.
police demonstrations.
Yep.
They've been doing it for years.
Yep.
Staff Sergeant Taylor with the Capitol Cops, that was his job.
That's right.
Sometimes they have video recorders, some they have cameras. It is routine police work. They now do it with their drones. They have a drone at 200 feet. They have high resolution pictures. They do put those into databases. If in fact they were looking for you for something, it wouldn't take long to find it. Cops recording your face at closed demonstrations is common.
It
Not-
is.
Right? It's
That's right.
common. It's standard police practice.
Yep, they are all over the place. That's why wearing a suit or a mount like isn't crazy. I mean, there's a reason for that. You can't stop them, but they also can't like rip your puffy suit off. Just saying, like, so, you know, I mean.
Wearing anything under this.
I know, right? Yeah, that's right. Just be naked under and be like, you feel this?
I know.
Oh, no, that's what we were joking. Yeah, that's what my friends were like joking. They're like, yeah, we're just be naked under. And you're like, you want this? You ready for this? But yeah, I mean, I think right now the facial recognition is everywhere and they're going, I mean, in my direct experience here in Austin, then they go to the person's social media and see if they're instigating and saying anything that they can see as a threat. And that's how my clients have been arrested, including the one in the feds.
Here in Austin, please?
Yes.
If you have a private profile, should you be safe?
My guys all had a private profile. They're not public people. They're not elected people. Like my guy's a software developer. He's never been arrested before.
If you have, like your social media.
Oh,
profile
private.
Set to private.
You know, that is an interesting question because most of my clients have been kind of protest organizer folks. And so they had to open more profile because the whole idea is more people, you know, getting in. So it's hard to have a private profile if you're organizing things. And I think that was one of the reasons. I mean, you know, I think that's one of the reasons that they right. Well, but just being aware of it and, you know, again, making sure that it is clear that this is political speech that is protected in the First Amendment, that this is, you know, this is absolutely not a threat. And that's kind of the words that they're looking for. And I feel like those are the things that we need to be mindful of in how we use our words, how we have signs, how all of these things, because I don't want to see another Prairie Land situation. And I think that there are lots of people more people that feel the way that y'all do than don't feel this way. And I think people just need to be emboldened, but I think people are scared. Well, for good reason, because,
May I ask a question?
yeah,
We, one of our organizations sells a hat that has 8647 on it.
I mean, see, and this would be my argument that that is political speech, because it's a hat that an organization has that lots of people do, right? That this is, that obviously no one's, they're saying end it in the presidency.
Yeah.
Right, 86, I worked in restaurants, 86 is the end of the presidency, and so, you know, again, I think that that's like a cute. Again, I would argue that that's like a cute, like hyperbole, right? Of like, you know, it's not an order, we're just ending the presidency, but I mean, I don't know, I think that like, that combined with something else, like that's what they're doing, they're combining something innocuous within like my guy saying, you know, this is this ICE agent, Bob Smith, who, you know, lives in your neighborhood and is hurting people, you know. If you see him, tell him you don't appreciate it and give him the self-oxy treatment. I mean, that's literally all he said. But that is what they have interpreted as a federal terrorist threat on his Instagram.
The 30 question?
Yeah.
I just couldn't quite hear when somebody said, what if you block a something camera?
Oh, a flock camera or something like that.
What's a flock
You
camera?
know what a flock camera is? Somebody give a tutorial on a flock.
Make sure they,
Yeah, the
You wanna
flock,
talk
you,
about-
you get the flock camera, do you?
No, I've already talked about it.
Yeah, but you know so much about flock cameras.
Flock are cameras on poles that record traffic. They're very sophisticated. They also record your bumper stickers. They also record your image. They also record your
Yeah.
direction and times of pass.
Yes,
There've been cases where police officers have tracked their old girlfriends.
yes.
This constitutional
It's
question, City Council of Austin rather handily said, oh, hell no, we're not doing that.
We're
Immediately,
totally
Texas
doing it.
the state of Texas and Department of Public Safety started putting it all over Austin. It's now become a real popular trend to destroy them, to vandalize them, cut them down and get a picture on TikTok. But to my knowledge, and this is just the sort of thing I would follow, I would love to get that video and I'd love to be the guy just far enough away not to be part of it, if you will. To my knowledge, there has been, and I would be pleased to be correct from other knowledgeable people. To my knowledge, no flock camera in Austin, Texas has been damaged or destroyed.
No.
Yeah?
We call them halo cameras too, but.
Yeah, and there's lots of, there's cameras everywhere, and the camera, sorry.
ALPRs.
Yeah, an automatic license plate reader. Now, it automatically goes into a bigger data system. This is in fact Big Brother.
Yes, it is.
It's Big Brother. If all you're doing is going back to the grocery store with your kids, it's pretty easy to ignore it.
Well, and I will tell you, because they're talking about the halo or flock cameras, which are everywhere, all over, well, not everywhere, but they're over downtown and east side and certain places, and basically just watch us and get license plates. And my beef, well, in addition to it being obviously Big Brother, is that they are heavily on less socioeconomically advantaged sides of town. There are not halo cameras all over Westlake. There are not halo cameras all through Pemberton. So that's my beef, is that it's really just watching everybody that's not super rich.
and I think Flock is a brand name, which
Yeah.
is where that comes from.
Yeah.
Quick question online. Does performative include emphasizing the religious character of a vigil, like a mock funeral?
Yeah, I think so. And that's exactly what, you know, in the Beauty and the Bloodshed, it was a mock funeral. And that was something that actually, there's been protests, believe it or not, like back in Civil War times and stuff, where it's like mock funerals. And that is definitely in a satirical, obviously no one's really died. It's a satirical funeral. And so I think that falls squarely into that and is effective.
Would you recommend in general, I mean, I don't know about a puffy suit, I mean.
Right.
not
I'm
really
just,
my
yeah.
jam, but,
Yeah.
would you recommend concealing your face, like wearing a COVID mask or whatever?
Or wearing even the little bandit mask with like sequins or something. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Make it fun.
yeah, I mean, that's what I was just thinking for myself. That's what I would do. But, you know, you don't have to. I mean, that's the thing. You don't have to. And like, if they're,
I didn't ask you that though. I asked if you recommended.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely facial recognitioning people. So, you know, unless you want, you know, the feds perusing your social media, which you know, some people may not care. I mean, you know, I'm a criminal defense attorney, I say all kinds of things. I definitely don't want that, but I think it's too late. But, you know, but yeah, you just need to be aware.
So if for people online, the question is, would you recommend concealing your face somehow?
Yes.
And there's difference of opinion.
Yeah.
So I would say,
Sure.
I'm going to a protest to publicly declare my opposition to something. And in fact, during the Tesla protest, I volunteered to have my name and picture in the New York Times article on it.
Yeah.
That's my claim to fame. Publicly declare. They did.
Pictures, but I've never.
I can,
I love that.
give me afterwards, I can show you. Get your copy.
That it made it to Korea.
Right?
Yeah, one of my executives at a company, I got a text saying, I'm in Korea, dude, you're
Yeah.
famous. Because they bought the New York Times
Yeah.
article, and they're showing it in the Korea paper.
Well, and like a lot of my clients, that was their purpose as well. They're like, I'm here to make it known I am against this. I think if there's folks that, you know, are, you know, concerned about their job or
Yeah.
concerned about stuff like that, you know, then wear something that makes you comfortable in a mask because they're not gonna be able to rip it off. So, I mean, do what is at your comfort level, but don't stay home if you're because of one of the things. That's what I would say. You know, if wearing a mask makes it more comfortable to get there, do that. You know, it's kind of,
Yeah.
right?
It's your individual comfort level.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, if you're an immigrant here,
Oh, yeah, probably. wear masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or don't come.
Don't come.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, I think we're standing in for our immigrant neighbors, so I would definitely encourage immigrants not to go to the protest. Yeah.
Even if you're not immigrant, but you're brown or black, can you still get past them? That's what I've been.
Well,
told.
Apparently a nun in San Antonio was arrested nonetheless, but I guess there's some, so I don't know. I mean, theoretically, if you were a citizen, and my dad asked this, he's Hispanic and darker, and he's like, do I need my birth certificate? I'm almost 80. I don't know where my birth certificate is. And I'm like, right. I was like, I don't know, Dad, I don't think, but he wanted to go to a protest. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that is like, I think that making sure your stuff's in line, as crazy as that is.
The other thing, one of the meetings I went to, one of the Travis County judge for 20 years, but I'm about as white as you can get because I can't even tan. I said, should I bring my passport?
Yeah.
I said, bring
your ID, absolutely.
Fine, would love to have any reason.
They would love to have any reason, 100%. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Have your documentation ready and have anybody that's brown definitely have their documentation ready. And, you know, I would say kind of like when you go in a foreign country and like, you know, I'd like copy my, my license and passport, maybe do that too, especially if you are a person of color. You know, I think that's a safe way, and make sure that somebody else has your documentation too. Like that would be kind of like when you travel in a foreign country. Very similar. Yeah.
What about on YouTube, listening to an independent newscaster?
Yeah.
And you have a comment.
Yeah.
After comment, something as simple as, thank you for reporting.
Right.
Is that a threat that I be?
No.
No.
She was asking about just even commenting on something, saying thank you for doing that, or that kind of a thing. And could that be, you know, again, if you can couch what you said in something very specific of, look, this is political, this is satire, this is performative, this is hyperbole, this is speech, this is the kind of speech that we know is free. And again, you know, and honestly, the more outrageous, the more protected it is.
That's right.
And that's what I think you have to really think about it in that way, because the more somber and hardcore and like serious, the more that they are going to paint it in a way that it is a serious threat. So, you know, we want to make fun of things. And so, you know, this is the time we need to be like, it seems very counterintuitive to such a somber time in history, but to make sure that the speech is protected. You know, you need to be funny, you need to be outrageous.
I would add a footnote to the Supreme Court stack on that. Back in the Vietnam era, there was a very disturbing image put out of Washington DC police officers characterized as pigs physically raping the Statue of Liberty. And the line was up against the wall MFers.
Yeah.
That did go to the Supreme Court. That is case law, and that's pretty offensive
Oh,
to
yeah.
anybody. I will also note that the last demonstration at Jose Garza's office, some knuckleheads burned an American flag, which I don't find any value in other than just making everybody angry.
Right.
It is protected.
Yep.
Oftentimes it is, if you're doing something outrageous, that somebody's gonna hop out of the car and punch you, or there's cars bumped into each other because you're walking around naked or something. You know, but I mean, you can do things that are so outrageous as to be a public nuisance.
Right.
Now, in Austin, APD, in my opinion, I've been a critic of APD for 40 years. They are generally much better at it than any small town, and certainly better than DPS. Generally speaking, they're not gonna arrest somebody, again, if you're white and middle class and a registered Democrat, you're not likely to get arrested just because you say the F word in APD.
You won't, but you know, kind of what you're saying, like to be outrageous, like if you had, you know, and I'm not, but like if you had Trump with like a pig head and devil horns, you know, that would be an outrageous yet effective. But if he was like, if the penis was exposed on the body, that could still get you arrested, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like that would be when it would be obscene and not protected speech anymore, even though it's a fake everything, right?
The other case law would be the Cox versus Glocks ruling. The University of Texas was perfectly legal to bring a loaded gun into your science class, but you can't bring a sex toy.
That's right.
So for a while, there were people walking around with their backpacks with
dildos.
dildos. Thank you.
Yes.
I remember.
It was really embarrassing.
I did too.
For the,
Oh, yeah, they were talking about,
Yes, explain that.
Yeah.
To flag burning, because I kind of want to burn a MAGA flag, but I kind of.
I mean, it's protected speech. The Supreme Court has ruled it's protected speech. I mean, he's right. It just pisses people off. But a MAGA flag, I don't know if it pisses people off. I mean, it pisses MAGA people off. But yeah, I mean, burning a flag is absolutely protected speech. And again, the more outrageous you can go with it, the more it is clearly political speech, right? Like burning the flag and, you know, having a sign of something that's outrageous, right? Of why this is happening, or just explaining, or just doing it. You can do it anything, but just nothing that could be interpreted as a threat. That is what I want to warn against. Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah.
I want to kind of get at the legal distinction here.
Yeah.
Isn't it since 9/11 that such a thing as a terroristic threat has come into our lexicon?
Yes.
Right. When,
Yes.
you know, our right
Yes.
to step back.
Yes, that's right.
But so when you're talking about, if some groups, point is to get arrested, but you
Yes.
know, to do it on some
Absolutely.
level that's not a felony, but
Yes.
it's kind of a low level.
Yes.
Blocking traffic or.
Yes,
something.
that's a good one.
But you're saying to do that, you want that to be wrapped in a very clear message.
Yes.
That it's political.
That's right.
So it doesn't get converted to a terrorist threat. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I'm saying that in light of Prairie Land. Prairie Land, honestly, it has changed my opinion as a practitioner and how protest should be approached, because it's wild. I mean, there is nothing, I can't compare this to anything in modern times that is happening, that protesters get hundreds of years in federal court. That's.
Can you explain what happened in Prairie Land there? Because someone got shot.
Yeah, someone got shot, but there were 8 people that ended up going to trial, and literally, I think half of them had nothing to do. They were present. And I think a lot of people were so confused because the Prairie Land people just thought, there's no way. But the way that conspiracy law is interpreted in federal court under this administration is, I don't think constitutional, but this is what's happening nonetheless. And they are looking for reasons to quiet protesters. And that is what I have seen by this web that I have gotten out of every free speech case in the country pending right now in federal court. And it is a kicked up escalation in the past year, 10 times any year before that. So it is a thing. It's not, I'm not imagining it. It is definitely, they are looking for reasons to quiet people. So being smart.
People arrested, were they looking up?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're looking to arrest people of color, obviously, because that's who they're hating on the most.
What was the question?
Weren't a lot of the Prairie Land defendants Hispanic, and some were not. I mean,
Trans too.
oh, trans, that's right, yes, trans, another group that people want to hate. So, yes, they were groups that are being targeted. And so that, I think, was part of the pile-on of how they got.
So one of my messages I got from there is make sure you're not in a group that has one hothead who's like.
That's it.
Yep.
And
So
I think that by being performative and getting your message across, it's clear that the group is saying this. So if one person busts out this, it's inconsistent with the group and they can't lump everybody together.
so if I'm in a group and one of the group decides I'm gonna bring a weapon to a protest.
Yeah.
I would
I'd say, yes, back away.
back away.
Yeah.
Distance myself from
We
that
have to
group.
police ourselves at this point to protect everybody. And I think,
And they have a right.
It was my
Even though they
understanding,
have a right.
some of them
They have a
didn't
right,
even
but
know one.
nevertheless.
Some of them didn't know one.
that's right, they didn't even know each other.
So how could you say, well, I'm not gonna go with that group?
You can't serve.
You didn't decide the group.
I agree. They,
Cops decided the group.
that is correct. That is absolutely correct. And so I think just, again, couching the protest in clear political speech is the key to all of it, because their theory with this like Prairie Land thing was that this was like a group coming to kill and coming to get, instead of a group that who was obviously there to protest. And so changing that narrative, and again, the more creative it could be, I think the more defense you have, because it's clear that this is not a threat. This is political speech of this behavior.
Amber, if I could give you a 5-minute,
Yeah, no.
guidance, and then we'll transition into a close. So 5 more minutes, please.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
Wasn't part of, they were using shared literature as part of the conspiracy?
yes, shared literature. I mean, this is something that, right, you shared literature. I mean, that's like all having hats that say 86, 47. I mean, like, what is shared literature, right? They're looking for reasons. That's what I am trying to say. And so being smart about how we voice our opposition to make sure the opposition is heard. And so just really quickly, the case law says that true threat is something that is specific. It says like a time and a place and a who and a where, right? Like that's kind of what we have always interpreted a true threat to be. However, it seems to be expanding right now. And so that is what I am saying, is that like my client, I'm sorry, giving a cell block C treatment did not feel specific to time and place in any way, shape, or form to me, but yet we're about to have a federal trial. So, I just, that is kind of where we are at. And so I hope our community's voice is heard, and I hope that we can protect our neighbors in a safe way that is effective. But I do want everybody to be aware, and I think that Mike was right, like, be prepared in how you bring yourself to the protest, because, no weapon, they are looking for a reason. They're looking for a reason. Don't bring weed, don't bring weapons, don't bring, anything that is gonna be used to be some sort of tool of oppression. I mean, you just need to be aware. I mean, we are entering a very new era in the United States, and we need to be hyper aware of how we have our voices heard.
I was just curious about maybe some tactics that we could use, because we've had situations with our group. We are committed to nonviolence.
Yeah.
And we've asked people when they join our protests, are you committed to nonviolence? When you start collaborating with other groups and partners and you've got a big protest. I know of one incident that happened a year or two ago. I think maybe after No Kings, certain group kind of broke out, went over to 6th Street. I think there was a certain group that I won't mention that does not commit to nonviolence. So how do you balance that, being an activist and doing what you need to do, with the lack of control of who's going to be there with you?
And that's what I've thought so much about, and it's funny, I talked a lot about, because I really think the more performative, the better, because that is how you distinguish that you are this group. You are this group that is going to do this performance of why whatever, you know, we're looking at to voice that, however that is being voiced, but in a way that it is consistent with your group. And, you know, I think like Nan Golden did with the Sacklers, you know, like it was a coordinated effort. And I mean, maybe y'all all wear the same t-shirt and that's how you differentiate, you know, but I mean, I think just, or, you know, everybody is in a puffies or, you know, whatever it is that is something consistent. But I mean, I think there are ways, because I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've had clients that were thrown in with a group that they were not, had no knowledge of and weren't there and were literally just standing in the wrong place. And so I think you're right in just figuring out how to do it, how to identify yourself with the group.
Just making sure you know.
Yes.
Who's there, you don't know who's there.
Empty by 7:45. Library closed at 8. Will be open tomorrow.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I just think that this being organized in how you're gonna get your message across as a consistent group. Like, I think that that's gonna be more important now. I mean, in the olden days, everybody could come and show up and make a stink and be heard, but you know, I think we are dealing with a different animal now.
Very good.
Maybe one last question and then we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
close. Does anyone?
Somebody who hasn't spoken, not me.
Well, I got a question. So thinking about, like as an organizer, if you're sort of recruiting people or
Yeah.
organizing the action, what's the additional risk there, I wonder?
Yeah.
Of course, if everything
It's a good
is
question.
very clear, like, oh, this is just political speech, there's no risk for anybody, but are you opening yourself up to,
I think that you need to be extra careful. Yeah, I think that they are definitely. I mean, everyone that I have represented has absolutely been at the helm. And I don't think that that's an accident because they didn't do anything different than anybody else. But I think that they are definitely being strategic of who they're going after. And so, you know, making sure that nothing can be interpreted as a direct threat is the absolute. And again, the more creative that can be, the more protected you are. That I just want to yell that from the mountaintops because I think that is the way. And like, you know, we all talked about listening to where they want you to be so it can be filmed at all times, you know, but yeah, playing the game of where you're at.
Yeah.
That is part of the challenge. You're like, you can't be there, you can't be there. But yeah, I mean, so really knowing that where you're going to be and where you can be, I think ahead of time is also helpful, you know, of like, having your organizers know, okay, you can be here, but not here if you're going to want to get effective. So yeah. Yeah, here, I'll give you all my cell. It's 512.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And actually, let me give you my office because it rings to all of our attorneys and we will get you out of jail. It's 512-220-8507. Actually, I would get you out of jail because our other attorney, her husband is the HAPA judge. So she can't get people out.
So if we were in jail, we would call you.
And we'll get you out.
Yeah, okay.
I'm Vasquez Law Firm. That's my firm. Vasquez, VAZQUEZ. And I'm hooked up with the ALG people in a bunches of different groups. So we've got big groups of, and Paul Quincy is one of my best friends and he's always out. He's always available to help get protesters out. So we will get somebody. We will get somebody to get you out quick.
You have an after hours answer.
Okay, good. Probably a criminal defense.
All right, 9 to 5.
It's VAZQUEZ.
No, I mean,
Oh.
I said, is it Vasquez LLC?
Oh yeah, it's Vasquez Law Firm LLC. And yeah, it's just a group of us and yeah, we'll get people out and I'm friends with a bunch of other hoodlum defense attorneys that'll get people out of jail in the middle of the night. So let us know if
Thank
any.
you so much, Amber.
Please be safe. Thank you. And thank you for being brave and speaking up for other people. Like y'all are the heroes of this deal. I appreciate what y'all do. Y'all keep us safe.
Afraid anymore after all this conversation.
Good. That's what I wanted you to be emboldened with knowledge of what you can do. Because I mean, we can do this. It can be done. It just, we need to be clever and creative in a way that we haven't had to be clever and creative before. But you know, like I sit around and think about protests for criminal justice, it would be like impactful and heart-wrenching. I mean, you know, like that's what we need to think about. But yeah, I mean, well, you know, like they're doing a demonstration, just kind of thinking about ICE and ways to do this. they're doing demonstrations for TDCJ right now, where a group is taking around the cell
Yeah.
that is getting to be 110 degrees and letting people go in and putting it in front of places.
So before everyone clears out, sorry.
That's great.
So before everyone clears out, we just have a few announcements. We want to encourage you to stay a few more minutes for. Thank you again, Amber. This was a wonderful presentation. So the next thing we want to invite you to do is share your feedback so that we can learn how you perceived this experience, and that we can ideally make it better the next time we do this or a similar training. To give us that feedback, we're going to give you about 2 silent minutes right now to use the QR code that is at the bottom right of the screen with your phone. And just it should just take you 2 or 3 minutes to write in a bit of feedback or use a survey tool. So please do that for the next few minutes, and then we have a couple of announcements to make after that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm afraid.
Plumbing,
I don't know. You have to ask.
5 high.
5 is the
Pick
best,
a
or
number
1 is the
1 to
best?
5 is the
5
best.
is high, 5 is good.
Yes,
Okay,
I need to fix that for next
I
time.
would put that on there. 5 is a higher. Is the third.
So what's the subject for the next training? Have you decided?
No, not for this group. There's another group that's doing election and training. I think he's gonna do one on media, but not a couple of months, which is fine. I felt like I was talking too much. I was talking. I hate it when they defer to me. Well, no, it's your workshop. Yeah, you have to know the age. Elizabeth, see the stuff. Yeah.
Take the whole.
Lately, the shooting things, they're all young. He's no, it's. I think he just really was. It's kind of hard to really stand there and all that. I could see anything. You want to take a Dr. Pepper home or something? Dr. Pepper. Martha, would you like a Dr. Pepper? It's only pay you're gonna get, so.
Okay, it's all the pay I'm gonna get
Yeah.
for, being the leader.
Now, you're the man.
Good.
Thank you all for being here.
All right, folks, hopefully that is enough time, or you could complete it as I give the next couple of announcements. Our next event is the activist office hours that we hold regularly on Saturdays at noon. Should you have any desire to kind of process and discuss this event in person with other activists, that could be a good opportunity for you to do so. We heard a lot of really good ideas, particularly about performative protest. And if you would like to just have a space or container to just kind of talk about your ideas, get some direction or get some feedback, please consider the regular Saturday noon meeting, our activist office hours, as a place to do that or to tell.
And where would that
friends.
be?
And it's at Industry, which is it's on East Fifth Street, just east of I-35. Yeah, it's a restaurant. Yes.
As a sponsor, we announce our next meeting.
Yes, could I give you an announcement time and just, oh yeah, actually, just go for it. Go for it.
Extinction Rebellion leaders are here, and if you are interested in knowing more about us, we're gonna have a meeting on Monday, August 31st. Well, probably the first few, will be the first few you, and it'll be an introduction. So if you have any questions for me or Charles, come talk. 6 or 7. I'll start.
And thanks for reminding me of that, Susan, as well.
Yeah.
Next, I want to just invite everyone, if you felt this was a helpful training and you would like to make trainings like this more accessible to a broader audience, one way to do so would be to spread the word. Another way to do so would be to donate to our nonprofit. Feel free to make a donation using the QR code that is on the screen. A couple of us are gonna go grab dinner at Eastside Pies after this. Everyone is welcome to attend, again, to keep talking. And finally, would just like to thank our online attendees who came to us today. Beverly's still with us. Thank you for joining. Would like to thank our co-sponsor organizations, Extinction Rebellion, for attending and for helping us promote this event, as well as Nonviolent Austin. Thank you so much for your attendance and for your questions, and good luck in the fight ahead. Thank you.
And we do have to stack all the chairs in back. If you physically are comfortable helping, feel free to take a shot at it.
We have some of our members wanted to.